Hey, what's going on, people? This is your man, Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining. I'm just saying, where if you're going to complain, bring some solutions to the table. Now, I know this background looks a little bit funky. So, what I'm trying to do is see if this stuff actually works. I think it looks all right, but we'll see. But for those who don't know, the background is Westlake High School, and that's where my daughter went. That's where my son goes. And that's the school that's within my proximity. But I support all schools. But I got to say, Westlake, congratulations to them basketball champs. So, with that, today's special guest is going to be Zack Ball. He is running for Charles County Board of Education, District 1. We're going to have him on in a minute, but I just want to real quick, everyone, a disclaimer about the show. I sent out invites to all registered Charles County Board of Education candidates and commissioners. For those that wish to be on here, I thank you. For those who wish to still be on, please let me know. It is free, doesn't cost anybody anything. And from time to time, I will advertise businesses and/or nonprofits at no cost. This is just my way of giving back. So with that, we're going to go ahead and bring in Zachary, who's patiently waiting in the waiting room. So let me get get it together, and I'm gonna bring him in. And as he's coming in, we are welcoming Zack Ball, who is running for Charles County Board of Education, District 1, right?
Correct. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on the show.
Good afternoon. And before we get started, I'm looking at the background. I see you're a music man. I should have actually did this downstairs with my drum set that I have down there.
We got to have a jam session. So actually, percussion, drums, that's my main instrument. So that's cool.
Well, I didn't know that. I play it. I'm not going to say I play it like it's my main instrument, but I can definitely do some 4/4, 2/4, some 2/7.
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of conducting and stuff lately. So, I got to get back in the woodshed and get my chops back up. So I'm not as good as I once was, as they say. But I still play from time to time. I'm actually going to be playing at Hanson Middle School is having their spring choir concert, and I'm going to play drums for them just to accompany them.
Okay. Well, that kind of leads us into what we're about to get into. Outside of music, let's go ahead and Zack, tell us about you, the person. You, the person, Zack.
Yeah, sure thing. So I've lived in the county for about 22 years. I'm a product of the Charles County school system. I went to Matthew Henson Middle School, graduated from Lackey, and started working right out of high school for the Chemical Biological Incident Response Force, which you may know is based out of Indian Head. While I was working there as a civilian contractor, I got my associate's degree in engineering, which got me into an internship type program with the Navy to finish and get my mechanical engineering degree. And now I work for them as a civilian down at Pax River, working with Nav Air. I've got two kids in the school system. They're both very young, 6 and 8, kindergarten and second grade, and married to my partner, Melissa. She's amazing. And yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I've always been community minded. I was a volunteer fireman from the time I was 14 to 21. I've been working for the government. I've been trying to serve my community as much as I can, as long as I've been a part of it and been aware of it.
Okay, so we definitely appreciate, like I tell all the candidates, any type of community service that you do within the community, not only to strengthen it, but to also just let the youth know that we're there. So what I want to do real quick, and I do this with all the candidates because they normally don't send me something, so I go ahead and do it myself.
Sure, I appreciate it.
So this is what I put together.
I like it. No, it looks good.
And I literally put this together in like 5 minutes. Oops, I'm sorry. Hold up, I messed up. That's happened when you're dealing with technology.
Okay.
I literally put this together. I'm trying to hope this screen doesn't go around. Can you see the whole screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So want everybody to know that, this is Zachary, and your slogan is in your court. Tell us, what does
Yeah.
that mean when some, I see the tennis ball, I think that's a tennis ball, but what does it mean when Zach ball is in your court?
Right. So, since I've decided to run, I've been trying to keep my ear to the ground and my finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community, especially in the education community, and just look for opportunities to reach out to people who, for some reason, are saying something's not working or something is working really well. And I'm trying to educate myself. What I'm running on, part of my platform is being a candidate that's going to be reachable, and that's not going to be a one-way thing. I'm not going to wait for people to reach out to me to find out what's going on with a particular problem. I'm going to go out to them. Um, and when I say is in your court, we've learned over the last couple of years that people have other options. And if we want to have a strong public school system in Charles County, we need to start addressing the issues that the community is talking about, um, in a real way. That's kind of why I love the premise of your show. You say, I'm not complaining, I'm just saying. It's easy for folks to complain, and talk about bringing people into the school system to try to fix things. But if we're not, the folks who are running the system aren't going out and trying to reach out to those folks, make those connections and have those conversations, we're not going to move the ball forward.
Yeah. And I think that's key. One of the things that I can say that I agree with our current state delegates is that yes, we should have had district only school board because you can put a lot of emphasis and be in the community in which you serve. Now, don't know why they didn't do that for themselves and the commissioners, but it's a whole different story. But
I have a theory, but that's for
well,
another
yeah,
time.
yeah, I had it makes absolutely no sense. It's like saying I put ketchup on everything, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just like no reason to it. Just I don't do it. But the fact that you get to focus on District One, what are I guess one or two things that you really that are really just for the most part they're strictly, I wouldn't say strictly District One, but they cater to what District One is looking for needs. And
sure.
before
So
the and you can go before the you can go ahead and talk. I just want everybody to know where District One is at. District One is in
yeah,
this funky green rust type color, which is covers far west as
yeah,
welcome.
yeah. It goes way out there to Welcome. It goes all the
Yeah,
way down to Cobb Island and all the
yeah.
way out to Benedict and
So
Hughesville and all that. So
that's a large geographic area to cover.
right. And so, one thing that I've noticed while I've been running and trying to do my research and educate myself is, these folks down here and the sort of, you see where the fifth district is, I think that's the congressional district, where the five is. A lot of those folks, so there's issues that affect all the schools in the county. But if we're just talking just District One, I think one thing I've heard a lot from them is just, they can get forgotten about sometimes, and their commutes to schools are longer in general.
Yeah,
So if you live in Cobb Island, you might be commuting to Lackey to go to school, or La
it's
Plata
all the
or
way down
something
here.
like that, because and that's a 40-minute drive. That's a drive. That's not a school bus picking up other folks along the way. So, sometime, and this is small potatoes, but it's important. These little things make a big difference. They affect people's lives, and they send a message about what the attitude is from their leadership, from their school leadership, about how they feel about their constituents. But, making sure we have a decision made promptly about whether or not we're going to have a school on a school day. Little stuff like that affects those people in a big way, because if they got
Yeah.
to be ready to school to travel an hour, I know when I was in high school, I was waiting for the bus by 6 a.m. and I lived in Bryan's Road. So if decisions not being made till like 5 a.m., I'm already probably getting ready if I'm down in Cobb Island.
Now, I
So
I guess one of my concerns, and especially when we're dealing with District One, because I think typically the superintendent would make that final decision.
yeah,
What is it that you would like to see the superintendent or their transportation department do? Well, I know what I would like them to do. I know other counties would sort of announce it a day in advance or a couple hours just to give parents notice. Do you feel
Yeah.
that more of that should be done?
Yeah, I think so. And I think we maybe have more tools in place now, or we could get some more tools in place now to where if it's sort of a questionable situation where we don't know if it's really the right call to call school for the day, and so that's why we're waiting on that. Well, if we can expand digital options to students, um, then if let's say we're gonna do a snow day, we're gonna, a day in advance, we're gonna decide we're gonna have the snow day. And then it turns out there's no weather, right? Okay, well, we'll just do, log into the computer, your teacher will log in too, and we'll have class as much as we can virtually.
Well, yeah, well, to some degree, there would be no reason to close school physically, maybe in the physical setting, but you still could have school. You just have to say, okay, we're doing virtual, sort of like federal government. Okay, yeah, we're not
Yeah,
closed today, but we're on liberal leave,
exactly.
whatever it may be, because they've
Exactly.
proven that it can be done. Now, here's the caveat. As far as broadband, is broadband still an issue in parts of District 1? The lack
Def
thereof?
Definitely, definitely. And so so that kind of tailors on to, the other part of my platform, which is trying to get folks involved, but in a serious way. And part of that is educating them, which is another reason I really like this program. So if we want these communities to get broadband, then we really need to go to the commissioners and the state level to get the funding for that, right?
Yeah.
Because
And I, and
because
I and
they're
I do know that they did receive some. I just don't know
right.
where, it's spread at. I know like maybe certain parts of Nanjamoy. I do know there's one commissioner that lives in that district, and
Yeah.
he is affected by it. So I do know that it's coming. I just don't know at what level as far as funding and or at a rapid pace.
Sure.
Um
But for example, so let's say we're gonna implement this and have this sort of telework arrangement for our students and teachers if there's inclement weather, right? And broadband is still an issue. And we need to fix that so that we have equality for our county in terms of what their access is to education. So one thing that I want to do to get parents more involved and try to get them educated about things, explain to them the power that they hold. I've been to commissioner meetings, and it doesn't take a lot of folks showing up in person and raising an issue to start to get some attention on an issue. And I think there's a lack of that. And so, um, so by being a reachable candidate, that empowers me to say, hey, parents, I understand you, I hear you. This is how you can help me get these things done.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it is now because this district is focused strictly on the district, you're held more, you're going to be more accountable, held more accountable to those constituents because although you represent the county per se, you actually are still representing District 1, which means they're voting for you or whoever based on your platform and based on what you said you were going to do, even
Right.
if it goes against the other board members. What I find, um, I wouldn't say surprising, is the lack of community involvement from a proactive standpoint. We're very
Yeah.
reactive society. So what is it that you would do to try to encourage more students, parent, guardian, or community involvement within District 1 and the school system as a whole?
Yeah, and so that's sort of what I was talking about with being a accessible board of education member. So I think a lot of times reason people aren't involved, uh, you know, I you know I'll check my privilege real fast. I'm very lucky to have the job that I have and the time that I have to pay attention to these things. And some people don't have that, but there's plenty of folks in our community who do. And so I'm really trying to express the importance of that and trying to uh, not just wait for somebody to come to me with a problem, but if I hear about a problem, reach out to those folks and try to explain to them the different ways that we can work through it, or educate them on what's going on with the system. What are the rules at play here that prevent the teacher or the administration from addressing a particular issue, and then going from there and trying to discuss what are our options. I'm an engineer, so everything to me is database. And I always want to research a problem and then provide a couple different solutions. And then we get together and talk about the solutions and see what we want to go forward with. So one thing, for example, I've just put out a legislative proposal. I saw the commissioners were looking for one. And part of the reason I put that out is I think it's a good idea because it's mine. But I also put it out there because I want people to see how I approach problems and how I look at problems and try to come up with things we can do about it.
Are you at liberty to talk about it, or are you waiting?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, this is going to be public record. So it should be going up anytime. I sent it over to the county clerk a couple weeks ago. So basically, the essence of my plan is that if you are to receive a ticket from one of the automated traffic enforcement systems during a certain time of year that would be sort of decided upon and set, you would have the option to pay your fines in either non-perishable food or school supplies of equivalent value.
Wow, that's
Um,
I never thought
this,
about it like that. So it's because it's not like, well, this is I guess the thing. Do you would the commissioners be willing to say, wait a minute, we're going to lose some money off these fines because the sheriff department doesn't make money of it.
I
The county
I
makes.
thought about that.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
So part of what's in my proposal is times of year where it would have the least amount of impact to the county and the most benefit for the food banks and the folks in need who need it. So I went and I talked to the AT's officer who's in charge of the program and asked them, how much of the county budget a year are these cameras? And what I got from him was that anybody who's basing the county budget off of traffic fines is really messing up how they're doing their budget because it's not a huge portion.
Yeah, and it shouldn't account.
So
You're talking about this is what we hope to get,
right,
and
that shouldn't
then
be it.
yeah, and it should be
And
to reduce accidents, lower speed, especially during school hours.
they've been incredibly effective with that. But I think the what from my perspective and the research that I did is that the perception is that it's a money grab from the county or the state, and that's not what it is because they're not making a ton of money off of it. But you got to show people, perception is reality, especially when it comes to your constituents. If you're not telling them anything else, and all they know is if I go too fast over here, I'm going to get a ticket, then perception's reality for them. And I think this is one way that we can show people, we actually are doing this because we care about the folks that are occupying those spaces, which are our children.
Okay.
And to double down on that, we're going to give you the option. You messed up, you made a mistake, you can make up for it by contributing to their well-being even further, not just by slowing down, but providing them the resources they may need.
Okay. Well, hopefully that'll go through or at least be part of the discussion and they can
I hope
kind of
so.
work out because I know there's some kinks and some what ifs in there, and hopefully that'll be worked out. So you talk about a student's academic journey and the holistic or the whole student.
The whole child approach, yes.
What does that look like to you? And then how do we use that to broaden the academic journey of students?
Sure. So the whole child approach comes from the Comer method, which was developed in the 70s. It's been implemented across thousands of school systems in the country, and it's been really effective in dealing with behavioral issues and increasing student success. It's been well researched and written about. The whole child approach is an adaptation produced by the ASCD, which is a policy research group that looks at academics. And so basically the tenets of that are that kids need 5 things to be successful and challenged in their schooling. So those are, they need to be healthy, they need to feel safe, they need to feel engaged, they need to feel supported, and they need to feel challenged. And so what the ACSD's program does is it maps out all the different things that are currently exist in the school system that could be changed or implemented to help address those needs. And you know, I caution because I don't want to burden the teachers any more than they already are. I feel like we give them, they wear so many hats. It's incredible in terms of the things they're responsible for. So part of getting this done needs to be getting those parents engaged, and that's why it's one of my high priorities. But it's also getting help from the community. There's a tons of resources in Charles County that are underutilized, and even with the school system at large, not necessarily CCPS, but College of Southern Maryland, for instance, has a lot of resources that are underutilized. So what I mean by that is, when it comes to bullying, right? So there, with the whole child theory here is that if somebody's acting out in the school, they're either not getting one of those 5 things at home or at the school. And, if we want to try to improve that situation, we need to try to address it, right?
Okay. Now, as we wrap up, another question that I've asked all the candidates, well, at least I think I have, is you talked about the budget,
Yeah,
and because of the COVID effect, that there's been a lot of emphasis on hiring mental health counselors and professionals. But what a
yeah.
lot of candidates and really just some people in general understand is that the demand for mental health counselors and educators is high, but they're
Yeah.
not just coming in an influx. What is a recruitment retention solution that you may have or you may like to see in order to increase not only recruitment and retention for healthcare counselors, but for our educators?
So, really, it's the school system at large that there's a shortage of folks to work in the schools. And so we got to stop the bleeding. And so I've reached out to different groups. I was speaking with IAPs, been speaking with teachers, and administrators and things like that to find out, what's going on here. Why are people leaving the profession in droves?
And look,
Um,
and it's not pay. The people would
it's not.
say it's
It's
pay,
not.
but it's really not pay.
You
Pay
said
is
you
it's
said it
factor, but
yourself.
it's huh?
You said it yourself when talking with I think it was Carlos or Shauna.
Yeah.
You wouldn't take $120,000 to go back and be a
Nah.
teacher, and I know many people like that. A friend of mine, he was a younger teacher, math teacher at the high school level, like the kind of person that we'd want to stick around for a while. He figured out that it not only did he make more money doing a different job, that it was way less stress, right? And the stress was the killer, for a lot of things. So we really got to deal with the things that are causing the burnout across the board. And it's different issues for different groups, but for
Well,
teachers and counselors specifically,
I'll be honest with you, and just my opinion. The school system knows why, but
yes,
it's difficult for them to address it, and that's where as a candidate that's running, and you mentioned accessibility, reachability, is that there's nothing more frustrating than taking like a school climate survey and teachers put on there where the issues are at, here the solutions, and they not even listen to. And believe me,
yeah.
I'm not saying it happens in Charles County. Well, I know it has happened. I don't know the things that, but I know personally that I provided very simple, cost-effective solutions, didn't use them. And so as someone who has the potential of being on the board, the accessibility part is very, very important. And I just want to end on this one last question. Do you prefer town halls or public meetings? And the reason I ask that is because, yes, it's okay to have a conversation with you when you're actually having a conversation with me. So when you go to
Right. No, I totally agree. But that's why a lot of my interactions so far have been, one-on-one or small group. I held a bullying forum with some other school board candidates, and it was just me and a couple moms from the community who were dealing with a particular issue. and it was a conversation. It wasn't you come and tell me about your problem. Okay, thanks for coming. See ya. Which is kind of the format I see for a lot of boards in general in our community. I don't know why it is, but sometimes I feel like folks don't feel like they owe their constituents an answer on a particular thing, or even just a conversation.
Right.
And that's frustrating for me as a voter and as a parent, and I'm sure it frustrates other people. So I'd like to do my part to try to address that. And, if people reach out to me, they're at least going to get a response of some kind.
Okay. So as I close out, I do this thing with all the candidates.
Oh, I'm excited. I love this part. I
Oh, the
always
word
love this part.
association?
Yes, let's go.
All right. So let me put up your thing so everybody can see it as we are. Man, there we go.
Oh, can I plug something real fast?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so friend of mine has been working with the county to put on a community beautification project over in Phoenix Run. It's going to be going on Saturday morning or Saturday all day and Sunday all day. They're painting the basketball courts back in Phoenix Run, formerly the Meadows. So if you know where that is and you want to help paint, come out. It's been a great program, and I'll be there, and some of the other school board candidates will be there as well
And is this Saturday?
this Saturday.
From now this
9
won't air
a.m. to
Tuesday.
7 p.m.
This won't air until Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday. So that just happened, and it was a great event, and we all had a great time.
But you definitely can let me know about it, and I can post it just as an event
Sure.
that people can go to and help out. So the word association. So I'm gonna I think it's 7 words I'm gonna give. And I just think of these words as I'm going through it. So we're gonna start. First word, family.
Number one priority.
Okay. Sports.
Well, you lead me in with this because I saw your other interviews. Dallas Cowboys, my man.
Oh, you okay with me? You got my vote. But I don't live in District 1. So. Special education.
Challenging, but I think there's some opportunities. IAPs spend a lot of time with their students, and they're usually not part of the conversation when it comes to assessing and meeting with parents about the IEPs. And a lot of times they're one-on-one, and so they have a better understanding of the student's progress than most, even the teacher a lot of times, because they got a lot of people to focus on.
Okay. Transportation.
Oh, that's a good one. With the buses and everything like that, I think there's some opportunities there as well. I think if we go and look for funding, maybe from the Build Back Better program and the grants that are associated with that, and switching over to clean energy, there might be some opportunities to modernize our fleet and deal with some of the contracting issues as well.
Okay. Pre-K.
We got to get our partners in the community, the private industry in their community, up to speed so that we can execute the blueprint effectively. For those who don't know, pre-K is a big part of the Maryland blueprint. If you don't know what that is, please look it up. It's super important if you have kids in the school system.
Okay, and the last one, STEM.
I'm an engineer, so I'll say this: real ones know it's STEAM, right? So that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, right? So to be a well-rounded individual and be able to express yourself via the arts is super important for everyone. We spend a lot of money and time talking about STEM, but those humanities are just as important.
Yeah, and that I do agree with. I was gonna see if you were gonna say that, because my wife, she teaches health, but she really is into art, and she's really into STEAM. So I definitely appreciate that. So before we go, how can people get in contact with you? And you have
Sure.
any upcoming events or anything like that you want to announce?
Yeah, so get in contact with me is super easy. I'm all over Facebook. My email is on the Board of Elections webpage. I take emails, private messages via Facebook, and I've got a PO box. It's all listed on my Facebook page, so you can find me there. Events coming up, so I'll be at the town hall forum that's being put on by Thomas Stone's PTO on the 4th of May. I will be at Cobb Island Day, May 29th. I'll be at the event we spoke about this weekend, but that already passed. So, and there's going to be an anti-bullying session that we're going to be holding in person here in a few weeks. We had one online, had an okay turnout, but we think it'd be better if it was in person. So we're going to try to do that here in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, but I look forward to meeting people and hopefully earning their vote. I really just want to try to help out and do what we can to help our students.
Okay. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show and discuss your platform. And like I tell all the candidates, I definitely wish you the best of luck. Is anything I can do to help promote? I don't sponsor or endorse a particular candidate. I'm just here to give the general public an opportunity to educate themselves. So if you can always refer them to the show if they want to get a tutorial or whatever on what you're
Sure.
about. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the voters to do their job and educate themselves and the candidates, particularly in their districts. So, I appreciate it. Any last words?
No, just to say thank you for having me on and thank you for your service as a person in uniform and as an educator.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. And to everyone that was on the show, that had opportunity to see the show, we will be back with episode, I believe, 7 with our next candidate and also episode 8. So I'm doing 3 interviews for this week. So until then, peace and blessings.